Hi guys, it's Julian and Dylan here from Live Well Health Centre, and today we'll be running through our early stage rehab for ankle rehabilitation. So typically we're sort of rehabilitating ankle sprains, sort of on the outside of the foot or the inside. One of the most common injuries. So what we're sort of going to do here, before we sort of get into our exercises, we'll just have a quick chat about the RICE principle. So for this, sort of in that first 1 to 3 days, also sort of that early rehabilitation phase, we're sort of considering resting, icing, compression, as well as elevation. In terms of ice specifically, we sort of usually recommend that it's sort of performed in 20-minute bouts, 20 minutes on, 20 minutes off, repeated about 2 times, at least twice daily. Alrighty, so now we'll sort of chat about some of the exercises that we're sort of going to do, just with sort of our early stage. One of the first sort of things that we tend to lose with our rehabilitation with our ankle injuries is sort of our balance. So what we can do here with Dylan is just getting him to stand on one leg and really sort of work on all the muscles that support that ankle, trying to get them to switch back on and to sort of think about being nice and tight and protecting that ankle. We're sort of looking here for about 30-second holds, but sort of we can sort of start to increase that as we sort of get a bit more confident. As well, if we sort of do this one together, we can sort of hop up onto one leg, and as we start to get more confident with our balance, we can sort of draw our foot forwards, bending through that knee, coming back, going backwards, and also sort of side to side as well. Beautiful. Other sort of things that we can add in through here are also sort of balance boards or any sort of Bosey board. So with this, it's sort of a half-filled sort of tool that sort of creates a bit of an uneven balance floor. So sort of for this, we can sort of see that that's a bit more resistance through there. A bit more challenging sort of for that stability demand. Good. Now we can sort of work on just stretching out that sort of calf, sort of those muscles just at the back of that leg just there, just to sort of help with fluid drainage as well as sort of getting to sort of the strengthening phase of our ankle rehab. So for this, we'll sort of get Dylan onto the floor for us with our TheraBand. Ideally, we'll be using a towel, something that's a little bit less give, but we can place this just sort of through that mid portion of our foot. Dylan will grab onto either side and just really sort of pulling that firm. That'll then sort of lift that foot up and sort of just point those toes backward. We should really feel a nice stretch just coming along the back of that calf. We're holding this for about 15 to 20 seconds and we can repeat this about 2 to 3 times. Awesome. Once we sort of do that one, I'll grab that one off your do. We'll move into now a bit more of a dynamic stretch. So we'll pop Dylan up. We'll just get him against sort of the wall here for a bit of support. Ideally it would be a wall or a pole. In sort of that split stance, we've got a bit of a bend through that front leg, but now we'll be stretching out the calf just on this back half. So we're really just sort of dipping in through that knee, sort of keeping that back leg nice and straight, that heel planted on the ground. We should feel a nice stretch just along sort of that portion of the calf. Our calf itself, it's not just one sort of muscle in the line, it's a big bundle of muscles like a fan. So what we can do as well to stretch out the other portions of it is just move that front left leg out more to the left for me, Dylan. And now with bending that knee, just sort of coming out that direction. Now I'm moving a bit more diagonal, closer towards the camera. This will stretch sort of the outside of our calf. Now we can do sort of that same movement, just coming across the body. Now it's sort of away from the camera. This will stretch more sort of that inside of the calf. We can sort of do this about 8 to 12 times on each sort of direction and perform that about 2 to 3 sort of sets. Now we can sort of get into some mobility and strength training. So we'll get Dylan back onto the floor for us. Ideally you can even sort of do this hanging off a bed or a chair. We'll just place something to prop up those feet. Awesome. So that sort of gives us just a bit of wiggle room to play with. And from here, we sort of just want Dylan to pretend that he's got a big pencil just on that second toe. And we just want him to sort of draw letters of the alphabet. So just all lowercase, sort of doing about 5 to 8, having a bit of a break, another 5 to 8. And that's really sort of getting him to move in all ranges of motion. Obviously, we're doing sort of our exercises within pain limitations. If there is a little bit of pain, that's okay. About a 3 to 4 out of 10 is fine for me. Anything more than that, I'd suggest discontinuing. Beautiful. All right, now we'll sort of get our resistance bands to start sort of working a bit more of those muscle fibers. This one has a little bit of a loop towards the end here, so we can pop that just through the foot. If we sort of fasten this around that other foot, coming out the outside of that other foot, Dylan adds a bit of tension just through there by holding onto the band. And now this band is trying to pull us inwards, and we want Dylan to really try and work on twisting his foot, heel nice and flat, outwards for us. Beautiful, nice and slow, and really controlling as we come back. This will really start to work sort of those muscles just on the outside of our calf. Doing about sort of 8 to 12 of them and performing that about 2 to 3 sort of times, all right? Now we can sort of start to stress the inside structures of the calf. So if we bring Dylan's leg just across for us, then placing the band around that side of the foot, we can now sort of add a bit of pressure trying to grab that foot outwards. We want to sort of work against that, sort of twisting that foot now towards myself. Beautiful, and Dylan's nice and controlled with these exercises. Again, sort of that 8 to 12 rep range for about 2 to 3 sets. All right. Cool. Lastly, we'll do here now our calf raises. So for this, we'll get Dylan up again, sort of again, just against a wall or a bit of a pillow, just to give himself a bit of support. But for this one, we're staying nice and sort of grounded. The body's nice and neutral, nice and straight, and then we sort of want to shift our body weight up, coming up onto those balls of our feet, and coming back down, nice and slowly. About 1 to 2 seconds on the ascend, and about 3 seconds on the descend. To progress this exercise, you can sort of add different sort of wedges to change that starting angle of where that sort of heel is. The more sort of into sort of that range of motion it is, the more muscle activation we'll get through there. Additionally, we can sort of get Dylan to be upright, lift one leg off, and now descend with that one single calf. So now that's more weight coming through one side of the calf. But again, that's more of a progression once we start to get a bit more comfortable with what we're doing in the early phase. Beautiful, guys. That's myself and Dylan's ankle rehabilitation exercises for any sort of ankle sprains. If you have any questions or you yourself are suffering from any ankle sprains, please feel free to get in contact with us over at livewellhealthcenter.com.au.